At Vivek, every time you speak, I feel a little bit dumber. That's what Nikki Haley said. She knocked it out of the ballpark. She's the only one that's consistent. She answers the questions. You can tell why she was an ambassador. And I think that if she's given a chance to show what we can do, and it's time that we have a Margaret Thatcher type person, and that's what she kind of reminds me of. And because she can stand up, she goes toe to toe with these men. Bring it on. That's what she told Rick Scott when Rick Scott was being petty, a brilliant man, but being petty about curtains. He has the same curtains too. So when you see how all this stuff works, when you gotta throw curtains at a woman, like she's too feminine or she's not allowed to like curtains, or I don't know what that was, but it was beneath everybody on stage when he made that. That's when people say that Rick Scott won. That's what took him out of the race when he brought that up. Because if you're a president of the United States and a candidate, and what is happening in our neighborhoods with these stores closing, our anarchy hasn't even begun. I've already seen this. If you go to cityandcountyofdenver.us, you'll see a glimpse of Denver's metaverse. Our teams are losing. Once this virus gets into the minds of these people that have been destroying America, that have been able to bullshit people because the good people sit back and just keep taking it because they like it. They like being miserable. They love being in a miserable world because I have no other ways to describe what we are all seeing right before our eyes with people, mostly of color, that are doing the break-ins. And where's their parents? I mean, are they going home? I mean, when you got Xfinity having kids push their product because they can't use adults anymore because adults have already figured it out that they're throttling all their accounts and all their extra money. We're living in a simulated world of fuck. And until these people all pull their heads out their asses, I watched the debate. I thought I was watching one from 2008. The same content, the same thing. Well, that don't work anymore, folks. And Gen Z and millennials that know what artificial intelligence really is, there's three sides of artificial intelligence, folks, maybe even more. But you can't have robots and all these things that they all try to, the media that come out and they talk about AI like they know it. Here's what happens with those folks. As soon as they start Google searching all their stuff, it depends on if they're a Google partner, are they, where is their position on their uploads, okay? My uploads aren't designed for people to click. So the ones that are clicking on it, they're the ones that are saying out loud or to other people, oh, he only has 2 views. He doesn't have any views. You don't know what I got. So the more you talk, you're coming out of the closet so that we can rank you. And see, our voices are the new latent prints. Okay, forget about the fingerprints. We already know the voices. Everybody that has a cell phone, all the kids that are all programmed now to use voice search. In 2017, a police agency, I won't mention who it is, they wanted to catch this guy that they suspected killed his wife. But they couldn't find really anything. And then one day something happened. And they knew now that they could go into the cloud and pull those voice searches off the cloud. And this is the new DNA, folks. It's digital DNA. You don't even have to give a swab because you gave your voice, which is the best. And then what they do is they can do manual advanced algorithms to kind of find out where you are in your conversation or other conversations. And then once they can pinpoint in some dates, they can then go in and pull a subpoena. And then once they get that subpoena, they can go right to the cloud, extract that content that where the guy used his voice search. Okay, whether it's voice or it's text, it don't matter now because your voice already got you into everywhere you need to go. That's why you haven't been blocked. And you have like Instagram, Facebook, X, they all want you to send you their IDs. Don't do it. It'll be the biggest fucking mistake that any of you people do. You can do it with YouTube, you can do it with Google. Somebody's got to know your information. Google knows everything about me. When I first signed up for my very first email in 1995, maybe it was 94, I knew it. And then as I progressed into the system of Google and the ever-changing everything of products and services and people getting pissed off and everything, and it's just the way it works with artificial intelligence because it's constantly changing. It's constantly evolving for the betterment of the metaverse, which is on the World Wide Web. Each one of us have our own metaverse. This isn't Mark Zuckerberg, Mr. I'm going to kick your ass because he's a blue belt. That was the biggest farce that he tried to take over that whole MMA conversation, and I crushed it. See, these people don't know because their people don't do what I do. But I don't care. I love MMA. I love the fighters. I love their dedication. The women are badass fighters. You know, I think when a person goes down, I don't think they should be able to hammer the guy in the face to cause more damage. The guy's down, man. You kicked his ass. Let him get back up. But I watch people get knocked out. You know they're knocked out. You see that they're knocked out. But you're going to let them jump, and then those referees let them get a couple of the pounds just because they want to be in there, and they've been so mentally abused themselves, and they are mentally abused because you got to sit there and watch some fighters kick each other's ass, and you're just going to snap. I wonder how many of them refs are at snappage point where they just got, and they live their snappage by letting a guy fall, and the guy gets hammered down. He's already out. But that's the rule. That's the game to game. You have to get in there and kick ass at all cost. And that's just the way that is. But when you think about what a true fighter is, and it's not drinking Modelo beer or whatever that beer is called. Hey, I worked my ass off making these taco shells. I'm a fighter. I'm drinking Modelo. Come on, man. See, it's all this bullshit kind of crap that people are latching onto that's destroying our integrity and our dignity in the digital world, the metaverse world. Every one of our worlds are our own metaverse. You have the major metaverse, which is whatever we think it is. Then you have the metaverse of buying and selling and all that. Then you have the virtual metaverse, which Zuckerberg builds. But when he came up with Meta and all that stuff, he doesn't understand that he can manipulate the content he creates and his people create, but they cannot manipulate artificial intelligence on the grand scheme of things. And so when he comes out saying, hey, I'm a blue belt and I'm going to do this, he's going to fight only X dude, Elon Musk, it makes you wonder if those two just didn't get along, But the MMA guy, Dana White, that they used as their source of authenticity, okay? Because when Zuckerberg called MMA dude, right? He validated it because they were able to talk, and they took MMA down a dark road, but they woke up quick. They woke up quick, realizing, man, we ain't gonna get any of this money. And a lot of the fighters are probably going in their office like, what the are you doing, man? He's a blue belt? I can't even get that kind of coverage. Well, you're not a millionaire. We need some of that money. You ain't getting it. You ain't getting it. Believe it. You ain't getting it. If you are getting it, it's because you got paid to boost this thing that wasn't ever going to happen. And see, we won't know, but good extractors, they can do some woo-de-woo with some killer algorithms that most cities and governments don't know, but the guys that do know are the ones that are controlling everything in a different adversarial viewpoint. But you can't tell any of these people like Clark or Scott, presidential candidate, he throws up the race thing. Oh yeah, I got pulled over. You got pulled over because you were speeding, bro, not because you were black. So, the guys behind you, you can't tell. Especially if he had tinted windows. This is funny because you look at go look at his car. I bet you his cars have tinted windows on it. Because everybody knows if you're driving on a tinted window and you got a really nice car, chances of you actually getting pulled over, unless you are absolutely drunk or do something stupid, that's what gets you pulled over. It isn't, police can't see color from behind you. I mean, how many times can you see somebody of color or a minority driving a car in front of you? So next time you're driving in your car in front of you, look at the person in front of you and tell me what color he is. So that whole crap, oh, I drove by and he saw I was black, so he pulled me over. Police don't need to do that. Look at the people that are smashing and grabbing. Look at those cops trying to grab those people. They're just mowing them over because there's too many of them. And the more and more Fox News and these CNNs and them keep showing this, it feeds the youth. It's a way to control the masses to do things that they're doing now, to continue to do it. It becomes a frenzy. And this is what the media does. This is why they're lackluster, that their viewership doesn't go up any higher. They're selling to the same people, the same bullshit. All the retail drugs that they're telling, the cartel drugs are killing people. When we're watching commercials telling you, yeah, if you take this and you have Alzheimer's disease, or you don't know you have Alzheimer's disease, or if you're allergic to any of the ingredients, and you won't know that you're allergic to the ingredients until you take the medicine, and by then you could be dead. So as you look at this stuff here, with, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say. It's true. See, he's used to being Mr. Smiley, Mr. Q-tip head, okay? He's used to it. Dresses nice, you close your eyes, you don't hear any accent, you don't hear nothing. But what you hear, and you can tell, because he'd be a terrible poker player. Because every time they call him out, he whoops that cheese whiz smile like, and people, oh, he's got a great smile. Well, whatever. They're sold on a smile. I'm not. I don't see a good smile. I see somebody that's deviating. I see somebody that's using information that he thinks we want to hear, and he has no plans to enforce it. So, he as far as I'm concerned, based on the businesses that he's owned, he could be the Manchurian candidate. Okay, but he's 40 years old, and there's no way he's going to beat anybody that's ever lived life that's 10 to 20 years older than he is. And this is the way the ranking system or the scores that are going against everybody or for somebody are indifferent at all. And Ron DeSantis is going to, who I guess passed a law where social scores can't be collected. It doesn't work like that, Ron. See, when you hear him talk, he kind of sounds feminine. I'm going to go and do this, and if you let Florida, and then all of a sudden you hear another part of him, the soldier part. He needs to stay that part. He wavers on his voice inflections. You hear me? So when you understand what voice inflection, the person that's talking, being able to take that Lee Carter and those people that have the voice following things, well, we can put all that stuff into actual images and videos and what people have said and what they're talking about. But they don't want to learn this, because then they have to change what their narratives are, and they don't realize that Fox News, ABC, CBS, all these news agencies, they're all getting indexed. All their words are being pattern matched, and because they're FCC regulated, they outrank everybody, because they're more accountable. They're more accountable, and because we can't get accountability now because of all the biasness and sub-biasness and social psychology, manipulative of different social channels. And we did some tests. I did a few tests to see if they were throttling me, and all the accounts that I have is all throttled. They all keep it so that nobody, oh shit, man, I got Twitter. Yeah, Twitter's there, but nobody's following you. See, that's why I don't use Twitter. I stopped. I can't close the account. I can't close LinkedIn. I don't use any of them. I signed up because I was a sheeple like everybody else. But what I did do is I realized that I can use their algorithms and reverse it by, one, not going to their pages. And because I am who I am, and the authority that I have over others that can't, see, it's all about, where are you in that post? Are you a writer? Are you just a bit player? Well, obviously you're a writer because you published it on the internet. Now, where is your node connection into this? Are you a candidate that ran for office? If you're a candidate that ran for any office, you have the authority over everybody else that didn't run for office in regards to anything that has to do with politics. That's the simplest way to put it. Then you have the local, the state, and that's what AI figures out. See, where are you in that conversation? And so with me, when I ran for mayor, my whole objective, my whole mission was to get somebody from the media, somebody from academia, and somebody from the government to acknowledge a law that we have called the Spear Amendment. And through all these times I couldn't get on the ballot and people look at me, oh, you couldn't even get on the fucking ballot. They have no idea what it's all about. So what I did was I took the high road. Instead of whining and going and you know, they had a Denver Decides mayoral debate. They invited all the write-in candidates but me. When they did that, that was another nail in their digital coffin. Denver is going to become the worst city in the world, folks. It was a model. And you can't get these people to pull their heads out their asses because they're in control. But what they're in control of is a train that can no longer be stopped by any of the identifiers within the government, within the city attorney's office, within the sheriff's office. All these people stood by, and they've all been identified because we finally got closure on February 6, 2023. When I got that letter, I knew I was going to get a letter that 4 elections, folks. Out of the 4 elections, I came in second on the second election. And they didn't have it, first time ever, they had no Denver mayoral debate. That's because Mayor Michael Hancock was scared. They had this secret meeting and Hancock showed up where it was like a meet and greet. And I tore him up. People came up to me and said, wow, so you're Giovanni. I like you. I've never seen anybody ever stand up to Hancock. Hancock was shocked. He even said, that's a good one, Giovanni. 3 times, folks. So, and what happens is the people that are pulling the strings, they don't realize they're fucked digitally. And they can change it by by being what they say. Because now everything that they talk about gets pattern matched to those that can actually do. So when the people, whoever oh, here's the facts. Oh, you just created these words that are now negative keywords. Everything that the Democratic Party says are now negative keywords when they say it. It's been going on for years. And the only thing is that I love Denver and I'm going to tell them all. Because we're all citizens. If Michael Hancock was stranded in the middle of the road, walking around, just not nowhere to go, I'd help him. Or he's got a flat tire, him and his family. I'm going to help him. So, you know, and that's a good thing. Put a camera on him. Put him on the side of a road in a beat-up car with a tire out and see how long it takes for him to get help. No one will help him. You know why? Because he's never really helped nobody. And that's the same thing with what these GOP people are trying to pull off on the American people. We are so damaged. We are so in debt. We are the clowns of clowns on the world stage of political fucking ambitions. We're all about destroying the office of the president. We're all about destroying all the history of all these people that made the America. Oh, we got to take it down. We got to take... See, when they took on all the football names, and when GOP and all these people didn't care. So when people say, oh, there's no racism in America, that's because they're erasing it. And that's okay, because see, for me, I was born Central American, Iberian, West Nigerian Jew. I'm American Indian, folks. And I've been treated like a piece with these people. I in Denver, and Donald Trump and his group of people and all. Fuck, I'd rather just vote for Biden, because then, fuck, I already know if we get caught up with if whoever's pulling Biden strings becomes the world leader and he's the Antichrist and he's gonna come and kill us all, fuck, I'd rather die knowing that's coming than to be bullshitted by a bunch of GOP people. And that's what they are. And it's sad. The same fucking shit, the same crap over and over with the same media. And you got Fox News with all their crap and their spin and their Joe Conchas and their fucking Lawrence Jones and all yeah. If I don't watch Fox News, and I don't watch Fox News, I index Fox News because they're FCC regulated. Now it's automatic. So every time that they talk, especially when behind the scenes, everywhere they talk, their voices are indexed because they're FCC regulated hosts. And so we got to know whose side are they really on, and that's what AI is going to do. And pretty soon these people are going to, they think that when they complain about the shadow banning or whatever they were saying that YouTube was doing and Google's doing this, and that's just people that can't control these two people. And as far as I'm concerned, I've had my deals with both groups, Google and YouTube. But at the end of the day, it's their platforms. They paid all the money to give me the privilege to even be on that. And I've lost some of my privileges because I had to test the system. But that's okay. Because they had to test their system. And so everybody's testing systems, but nobody's really talking to each other because you don't need to. Because if we did, we'd be wasting more time on talk than creating content that moves people into the betterment of people. And that's the thing that we have to understand with what we're doing here is trying to pick the next president of the United States that's going to bring us all back together to where we're all friends again, where we all can smoke some weed. If you don't smoke weed, then have a bowl. If you don't smoke bowl, then have a beer. If you don't have beer, then do a shot. If you don't do shots, then drink some fucking Kool-Aid. Have some water. But come to the party, listen to the music. You only live one time, and life is temporary, folks, and death is permanent. And I could show these big shots up there, like all those candidates, I could show them some algorithms that make them themselves. But they don't want to know. They don't want to raise their bar. They don't want to create knowledge bars, so that those knowledge bars can create learning curves for the masses. They want to keep the masses done. See, in my world that I see the metaverse and mortal world living together is being able to stop this war talk. I mean, I'm so old right now, and I've been hearing the same shit for year after year after year after year after year after year. I don't deviate. Everybody else does. And look where we're at. Because we got fucking NFL, because we got the fucking NBA or the baseball, the most boring sport in the fucking world. I can't stand baseball, man. But there's people that love it. Good for you. I played baseball one time. Yankees, I was championship 1 year. I told my dad, hey, Pop, I'm going to play baseball because you want me to play baseball. And I'll play baseball because the way I hit home runs, folks. When I was little, I could just pop them things. And people were like, how's he doing that? Oh, because I was really dark skinned. And see, my skin, depending on my, tanning, I can get extremely dark. Oh, I'm West Nigerian. I wonder where that came from. So, but I was adopted in a white family. Yeah, I really was. A Irish Roman Catholic Republican military family from Brooklyn, New York. My father always told me, you're from Brooklyn, son. I know we're raising you in AZ, but we spend enough time in Brooklyn. You got enough family there. You're a Brooklyn boy. And see, that's where I learned to be a Brooklyn dude amongst all my friends in the school. A fighter, a champion, everything I did. And it was always a white dude standing in the way, fucking it up for me. Always. When I was hitting those home runs, those pitchers, man, they started hitting me with the ball. And these were guys throwing 80-mile-an-hour fastballs. And I was so skinny. I was a preemie baby. I was doing things that you would think I was built like freaking Pete Rose or something. You know what I mean? Or Mark McGuire or McGrath. I don't remember his name. I like baseball as far as the game, but it's gotten too whammy. It's like watching NFL players try to convince me that I need to start watching soccer. The other football, or just stupid. And then all these teams, that you don't understand is that when you start seeing these commercials and stuff with these football players, and then they're on all the commercials, and that their team's doing bad because they don't keep their eye on the ball on and off the field. They get involved with all their brands and all this shit. And so the team that didn't get branded and they got good players and they kept their mind on the ball, they took it to a winning season. And so there's some teams that don't even allow their players to go off and even when you're doing it off season. I was that kid that carried a football. If you know anything about high school, who was that kid that had the basketball in his hand? I mean, it was just basketball. During baseball, during football, he just had that basketball. Well, I was that guy with a football. But I was so tiny, but until people saw my strength or how fast I was, but I always had to compete against the white boys. And then the Latinos and the blacks they didn't give a shit. You got to beat me. If you beat me, then you good. If you can't, then you gotta fucking walk. That's what I liked about the working with minority players, is because they get it. They got the same shit I was getting. Welcome to the club, brah. But because I could speak and articulate in different ways like a white dude, see, I thought I was white. My brother David, who was Apache Indian, full-blooded, wouldn't you hear his story? He used to tell me, "Hey, Mark, you need to go look in the mirror. You're starting to act like a white dude or a white boy. Because you got to stay with your culture." What is my culture? I didn't find out that I was Taino Indian until a couple years ago. And then I watch all these people running for mayor talking about indigenous and helping them. But it's okay because those people are worthless now. They're headed to the dark web. It depends on how quick. Is it going to be a slow bleed? But all these people that are connected, they're going to wake up one day and their shit's going to be dark web. And the thing is, they won't even know it. It just won't show up in the people that they want. Like, I don't get any racism. I don't get any hate. I don't get any people trying to push their sexual deviances on me. I don't give a shit who you're having sex with. It's none of my business. Quit making it my business. Especially all those people with the retail big pharma, as they call it. Like, Fox wants to beat up on big pharma. Just like when they beat up on Fox News, and so they paid Fox News back by giving all their hosts #1 bestsellers on New York Times bestseller list. How does that work? Now you don't hear that anymore. And even Tucker Carlson had to say, "Yeah, we're not allowed to say that anymore." Yeah, because I brought it up. See, these people don't tell the truth. They don't tell the truth at all. And so now with the computer god that we have now, and see, if you think about 1992, the Dehumanizer album by Black Sabbath, Ronnie James Dio, one of my favorite vocalists. Look up Marcus Giovanni sings Ronnie James Dio, or Marcus Giovanni sings Holy Diver. Anyways, so I went out with my friend who's a guitar player for Peace, Love, and Destruction, and we heard about this band that plays these songs, and people go up there and sing. And what it does is it brings out it isn't like karaoke, folks. You're a band. Here you go. And not too many people have the balls to take that step. I've seen karaoke guys that I've seen do karaoke. I don't do karaoke, but I would see them, and because I go to the karaoke bars and watch them how they do their thing, and there's some really good voices in Denver, actually, folks, that are going untapped, and that's what we want to do. But that's a different story. I need to stay on point here. The whole point of this is that when you think about where we are now, this is time that we need a Margaret Thatcher type president, and Nikki Haley is showing that. She's showing it with her bring it on, just her whole demeanor. And, her husband, I guess, in the military. And so I know that DeSantis wants everyone to know that he was in the military. And see, my thing is, where were you in the military? Were you at a desk job? Were you in the field? If you were in the field, were you in the marching field? Were you in the battlefield? I mean, that's some things they don't talk about this stuff, and nobody asks you. Oh, I was in the military. Oh, he must be a Navy SEAL. But what he's done for Florida, he's done for Florida. Doesn't mean he can do it for the rest of the United States, because being a president, he doesn't know what really is involved in being a president. So when all these guys bag on President Trump, and they've never been president, they destroy their own social credit system scores and values and integrity and wisdom and all the things they shouldn't say that they go ahead and say. Now is being held accountable because Ronnie James Dio sang it in a song called Computer God. Welcome to the revolution, folks. But Nikki Haley, it would be Donald Trump and Nikki Haley would be a very good, a very good pair. And I've been saying this for a while. And artificial intelligence told me a while ago. But what happens is the system thinks they know more than AI, and then the ones that want to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, they go and they read all their sources, and then they come up with their own words and they spin it, and they can't do that no more. And so when you think about how a person can trace a phone call, right? Like, all you got to do is press that last number, especially from a landline. You don't have to wait 10 seconds, 30 seconds. As soon as you press that last number, you're already traced. So that whole thing on TV and all that was so much bullshit, folks. And I knew that back in 1973, 74. But anyways, that's another story. Trying to break the world's record, and some of my friends got upset because this guy fell asleep. We swang for 76 and a half hours, and he fell asleep. I was asleep, but he fell asleep on the swing. And so my buddies got kind of upset, and so they went and prank called the guy. And so they made a complaint, and so I didn't turn my friends in. That's how that works. And I knew. I didn't get in trouble. Nothing happened. But I learned things because of my dad was there. That's white privilege. If my parents were a minority, I would have fucking, who knows what would have happened. But my dad had a lot of authority because he was a staff sergeant at Luke Air Force Base. And his people loved him, man. He was a very lovable guy. He was big man. Big hands. He was a Golden Glove boxer from Brooklyn, New York. And he used to tell me and my brother, "Oh, I know you boys think that I couldn't survive out on the streets, but you're completely wrong. And I'm not proud of some of the things I've done." Yeah, Dad. My dad, if you've seen pictures of him, he was a pretty boy. He fucking big man. And but he was a pretty boy, and he got picked on a lot because he was a big guy, usually small guys. And that's when he went, and his dad taught him boxing, and he became a boxing Golden Glove guy, and the rest is history. But anyways, he taught me the value of working hard. My dad adopted 7 children, a Republican. He gave most of his money and his to the Father Flanagan's and to Notre Dame and other different organizations, and me. He funded a lot of my little projects I had. I was never allowed to tell my other brothers and sisters or tell other people. And he'd say, "You tell anybody," and it stops. I go, "Thanks, Dad. Son, I want you to remember this because for some reason you have a hard time remembering things that are important." That's my ADHD chronic. I'm not kidding, folks. There's so many people that are ADHD chronic. They're just afraid to tell anybody because they're pissed off themselves. They don't even know why they can't show up at a court date, why they can't show up for a doctor's date. And you can have all the written down, tattooed and everything, but if there's something that's going to take that little sparkle, that takes you off point. That's why, for me, I can handle handlers. You can have 100 handlers, and I'll keep them all busy keeping me on point. And so, people, I could never be president of the United States because I can't enter the codes correctly. I would mess it up. Guaranteed. Mess it up. We can't have that. But anyway, so that's about it on this. And we got to just make sure that there it is. Every time I hear you, I feel that. God, that was beautiful. Her and Chris Christie kicked ass. And then Ron DeSantis. And then that Scott dude. But he blew it when he was brought up curtains. He couldn't help himself because he plays victim. See, he played himself as a victim because Nikki Haley put some curtains up that were given to her by the boss. And I know people, I have relatives that work for the government. They don't have any say what goes in their office, what comes out of their offices. It just doesn't work that way. And I think that's what made that guy Scott, besides some of his racial comments and I'm hearing other people talk about how, he described the black man. You know what? I know a lot of black guys, okay? A lot of black women. I know a lot of black families. And the thing about them is, they're designed not to become something like they are in the sports world. And see, they haven't figured that out yet. And when they do, because I've always been told by my black mentors, Houston Turner, Marv Collins Productions. He ran David Manischewitz's Celebrity Theater in Arizona, the theater in the Round. We produced shows there, OJ's, Can Function in Lakeside, Barcades and Switch, Multi-Purpose, a few other killer things. Then we ended up going to the Coliseum. But that was a whole different monopoly as it is today. It's even worse. But that's for another story. A lot of these people are so confined in their own little small bubble worlds that they really can't or have the ability to peek outside of it. And Donald Trump, believe it or not, when they started bagging on him, they don't have, instead of sticking up for him so that doesn't happen to any other sitting president or ex-president. And that's why now everybody wants to talk about the Bidens. And so you're going to have another half tell the other half that's been voting where we are, and all these people that haven't voted, they're seeing that $7 a gas price coming. They're seeing the same shit, man, where you got a car and you got a 20-gallon tank, and now it's going to cost you how much to fill? At $7 a gallon. $140, folks. So these people are just turning on the spigots to suck us dry of our liquid money. Because if you're not liquid, you can't have credit cards because you won't be able to pay the credit cards. And so when you're putting apps like Experian and all these credit reporting agencies on your app, you're a dumbass. I'm sorry to say that, but somebody needed to teach you the rights and wrongs, but they don't even teach our children the right and wrong and how to respect each other and how to open the door for each other, because I watch my kids. They don't do any of that. They did when we were homeschooling. Then all of a sudden they went into Denver public schools, and I don't even know who my kids are anymore. They're great people. They're responsible adults. They pay their bills. One's in the military. One's working for another government agency. And so I did pretty well. But I don't know who they are anymore. They're caught up in that school system ideology, where if you tell a story, oh, there was this black guy and this Asian guy, you're being a racist. That's right, folks. That's what these young 23s and 20-year-olds think, because of our schools have taught them that if you mention any race, you're a racist. So what that really is, it's a way to not mention anything about anybody. You're just telling a fucking story. And you figure out, oh, they're just white. It's reverse it's a gambit of deceptions, folks. We're living in a simulated world of nothingness. And only a few people are going to gather the money while they convince all of us that we're a bunch of racial bigots and that the blacks are the most picked on group of people forever. But yet, when you look at the commercials or who's doing the looting, it's a lot of the minority clad. You don't see too many white people doing that. But most of them are all so covered up you can't tell. And that's my argument to some of these people that are telling me that it's only black people doing it. And so these are the things that artificial intelligence is secretly behind the screen, like the Forex market. Anybody that knows what the Forex market is, okay? That's what artificial intelligence is, but on mega steroids and moving 1,000 times faster than the Forex. And we know that the Forex market is already moves 5 times faster than what the stock market moves. 5 times faster. So when you're talking about Fibonacci movements and all these things with when it comes to options, you're better off spot trading. And when you're spot trading, if you don't have 3 major of the news agencies, and it doesn't have to be American, if you don't have your trading platform up, if you don't have your tickets ready, if you don't have a compliance officer, if you don't have everything in a row to where you can make those movements fast, pip movements are where it's at. Because when the dollar's high, the Forex is low. When the dollar's low, the Forex is high. Every time that there's an emergency or anything, the dollar tanks. And you want to be on that tank. But you don't want to be on that tank. You want to be on a different tank, mowing over all those others that are on that tank, so that you can make money. And that's what institutionalized trading of the Forex market was. And a lot of companies like Caterpillar, they hired guys like me to do institutional training on their accounts to make up for the losses that they were having over the years. So that if when people ask me what is like the social credit system scores and rankings, it's like the Forex. There's no building, there's no oversight. You can get fined and stuff by government agencies because you have to act as if you are as a currency broker. But there's really, you don't need a series license, you don't need anything. But you better know your shit, because those that do have the licenses, they'll know if you're bullshit or not. And so these are the things that one learns over the years in regards to how our system operates in order to make our metaverse operate.